Red Bull's RB19 has already broken records and seems likely to become one of the most successful Formula One cars of all time. In fact, if Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez aren't derailed by poor luck in the second half of the season, it might become the first F1 challenger to sweep the season. However, although the RB19 is leaving others in its trail, Red Bull's opinion of the car is rather different. For it does not regard the RB19 as a standout challenger who has provided anything particularly exceptional. It's just a car that is good in every way. They feel the car is just very good, while others are lacking. But they're dominating like we've never seen before. So is there any truth to their words, and could we figure out if their domination is more significant than Mercedes or Ferraris in the past? Let's dive in. Let's start off by saying that Red Bull hasn't taken it lightly when it comes to stating their opinions on other teams. During the midst of their domination this season, they've seemed to have found many moments to lash out at the other teams. So according to Red Bull's technical director Pierre Wash, it is average good for everything, which is creating a good car. It's not very good in one aspect. Why we think it is good because we are quicker than others, but fundamentally I would say we didn't do a fantastic job. We did a good job. I was more surprised by others who didn't do as good a job, I would say. That is why our expectations were different from the beginning of the year. I don't want to be modest or whatever, but when you see some teams are able in 3 races to gain 1 second per lap, it means if you put the stuff together, it will be decent. It doesn't require 2 years of development. Although Red Bull completed the 2022 season strongly, winning 10 of the final 11 races, the team was concerned that it would be pushed back into the pack this year. It expected a 3-way title race to result from a change in floor restrictions, Mercedes getting its act together on the zero-pod idea, and Ferrari shifting early attention to their 2023 car. It was not thinking about being unstoppable and winning all the races so far. But when it did happen, they were sure to let the others know how bad they performed over the winter. We didn't anticipate that, explained Wash. We anticipated we might be in the midst of the fight for the win with 2 teams, Mercedes and Ferrari. We thought our advantage at the end of last year was not strong enough, and the change of the regulations on the floor, rising the floor edge and the kick line, would bring back those teams. Then the loss of performance we thought we had during the winter, especially over October with the reduction of wind tunnel time we had, it would be tricky to achieve success. So yeah, it was a surprise at the beginning of the season. Red Bull's domination this year has motivated both opponents and observers to seek explanations as to what the team has gotten so well with the RB19. And as time passes, it appears that there is a growing consensus that there's no super element that stands out. Indeed, the RB19 is just average good in every category, as Wash previously said. It appears to be more about how the car's overall package performs holistically, including aerodynamics, both downforce and drag, ride, handling, suspension and setup. Some have highlighted to Red Bull's historic edge in car dynamics as a benefit right now, but Wash is not persuaded. Instead, he believes that the RB19 stands out because the concessions required to make contemporary ground effect cars quick are less severe on its rivals than on others. We don't think we understand more than others, but I think it's more we have a compromise maybe better than others, he said. I think everybody understands more or less the influence of the mechanical grip starts to be higher than in the past, and the stiffness has a big role in that. Then the link between the aero characteristic and how you have to run the car is bigger even than before. Plus, the regulations removed some dampers that were very useful and would be even more useful with this type of car, but we don't have any more. I think it is how we developed the car that gave us a better compromise, but it's not because we better understand. What's particularly amazing about Red Bull's lead this year is that it has been maintained despite the team being at the bottom of the aerodynamic testing allowed constraints. Red Bull has had to work on the RB19 in a much more constrained fashion than it would want since it won the Constructors' Championship, as well as a 10% additional reduction due to its 2021 cost cap violation. It presently receives 63% of the current baseline data, whereas Mercedes receives 75% and Aston Martin receives 80%. McLaren receives 95% since it did not score many points prior to the June 30th switchover. While there are obvious downsides to not having as many wind tunnel runs as the competition, Wash also proposes something intriguing, that being conscious of the gap has encouraged the team to be more sharp and tactical in its approach. In our situation, to be honest, it is a disadvantage for sure, he explained. But it is an advantage to push the team to make sure that you don't explore useless stuff. The efficiency of what you look at has to be reviewed, whereas before it was not as reviewed as much. It helps us also to be hungry, because in the team, and especially in the technical team, we don't understand getting this kind of penalty because we have done a good job. They take it as a personal attack, so they'll do an even better job, and the motivation is even higher. I think there is some advantage for that. Although the RB19 has won every race this season, things have not been straightforward everywhere, and it is apparent that the opposition's challenge remains strong. Red Bull is not sitting back and expecting the good times to continue, claiming that there are flaws that must be addressed if the success is to continue. When asked whether he had any automotive problems that kept him awake at night, Wash said, "Everything is waking me up at night. I think the team is good because we're still realistic. Nothing is taken for granted with the other teams. I think in the high downforce case, and especially very high downforce like Budapest and Monaco, I think it's where our weaknesses appear. Also in quali and in low speed. I think some teams have a better compromise than us there, and that is something we have to improve more on." And it is this grounded approach that makes Wash dubious of crowning the RB19 as one of the best F1 cars of all time, even if it does become statistically the most successful. "I don't think so," he said about it being one of the best ever F1 designs. "Maybe we realize that next year, because I hope next year's car will be better than this one in absolute terms. The success of the car is great, but I think it is a combination of car and driver. Also, it's all the hard work done since 2014 in rebuilding the team, the new people coming, the new organization, and everything together created what we have now. It has not come in an instant, nor by chance." Wash seemed to brush it off a little, but many people are arguing that this is in fact the most dominant car we've ever seen. But what are the facts saying? Let's look at some other dominant periods. Mercedes' dominance from 2014 to 2018, with 5 seasons and a 71% victory percentage, delivered the biggest and longest win rate in F1 history. In comparison, the much-touted Ferrari 2000-2004 seasons had a 51% victory percentage. For example, Red Bull is now only winning for 1.5 seasons, with a 74% victory percentage, which is much easier than winning 71% over 5 seasons. And we should all be reminded that Mercedes won 19 of 21 races in 2016, and would have easily won the other 2, providing us with the first real clean sweep. If Rosberg and Hamilton had not had their memorable incident in Spain, Hamilton would have led easily in Malaysia when the engine burst, while Vettel crashed in Rosberg at Turn 1. In qualifying, the Mercedes was over a second quicker. No, they didn't win every race in 2016, missing out on 2, but it wasn't because of the car's speed. Their stats were as following: 16 wins of 19 races in 2014, 16 wins of 19 races in 2015, 19 wins of 21 races in 2016, 12 wins of 20 races in 2017, 11 wins of 21 races in 2018. However, if you consider the 3 peak years from 2014 to 2016, Mercedes has a victory record of 86.5%, with 51 race victories out of 59 races. In the case of Red Bull, 11 wins of 22 races in 2021, 17 wins of 22 races in 2022, and 12 wins of 12 races in 2023. The victory rate for these 3 peak years to date, including the not won 2021 season, since fans often argue the Red Bull was the quickest car in 2021, is 71.5%, or even if you only take 2022 and 2023, the 85.5% of these 2 years still falls short of Mercedes' 2014 to 2016 record. So the question is the Red Bull domination really bigger than Mercedes? The logical answer, supported by stats, would be no. But due to the increase in popularity of F1 and social media, we're just hearing and seeing more about F1 these days. So our question to you: did Mercedes dominate in a bigger way than Red Bull did? And does Red Bull have to win almost everything until 2026 to even come close to their domination? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Because of all this, Christian Horner will not apologize for dominating this year's championship. After all, Red Bull spent time in Formula 1 jail, while Mercedes went on a 7-year winning streak. I mean, 7 long years is a long time, he told ESPN of Mercedes' heyday period. You get less for crimes. We had to wait to get back into a competitive position, and we have to do a lot of watching, of a lot of Mercedes winning, and so on, you know. But we never lost sight of our target. We were still winning races. Pretty much every single year we still won races, so we never lost that target. It was just about putting the missing pieces into place. And then once we got a competitive power unit, bang, we were able to go toe-to-toe with Mercedes. So they were lucky they had it easy all those years when we were running one-legged. It's clear that Red Bull sees improvements for themselves for the next years and are welcoming the mistakes made by other teams. After all, winning is the most fun, right? It will be interesting to see if Red Bull can keep up these numbers in the coming years. If they do, they can finally enter the domination debate alongside Mercedes.